Have you ever watched a true crime interview and kind of felt like you were being given half the story, not the full story? That's what's happened to me in this video that Global News put out an update regarding Jack and Lily, but it's also meant to be looking back on 2025. But let's just say there's something that feels off in this video. You know, something just feels like it's missing. Like the title promises one thing and the person speaking dances around the point and never answers the direct title implication. I mean, I just watched the Rcmp update regarding Jack and Lily, the latest one, Christmas Eve. I so wanted to run with it yesterday on Christmas Day when I saw it, but of course I just didn't have time. And the title of the video is Nova Scotia RCMP investigator calls the case of missing kids extremely rare. And when I saw that, I thought, oh, fantastic. Finally, they're going to explain to us this case, like the missing case of these two children, Jack and Lily Sullivan, from Pictou County, Nova Scotia. And what makes it rare? Are they gonna start to look in a different direction in this case? Is this sort of, "Hey, we're struggling, we need more tips, it's such a rare case," like, what about it makes it rare? Stranger objections because they live in the rural countryside? Is it because 2 children vanished at once? And my YouTube true crime brain went down the rabbit hole because the title and the interview were not delivering each other's promise, and the banner only conflicts both. So when you watch the interview, he never defines it. He never explains what specifically is rare. And that omission, again, set my brain just curious. And then when you look at the banner and the verb tense of the entire interview, it gets even weirder because the vibe of the entire video is like, this is not an active investigation. This is not an active case update. It feels more like the eulogy for a case that they are quietly closing, or they've quietly shelved it on the back shelf, not the front shelf with the highest priority of cases. It's like the cold case shelf. And they've already deemed it a cold case, but it just feels energetically like the message here today in analyzing the language of this RCMP officer makes me feel like they've kind of quit. So you watch this video and you tell me, how do you feel about this interview in this Jack and Lily's disappearance? And in this interview, do you feel still optimistic? Because I want to feel optimistic and I want to feel that they're still pursuing everything, but it just feels like they've exhausted all ends. Tell me what you think.
My name is Dan Morrow. I'm the Criminal Operations Officer here in the province of Nova Scotia.
Across Morrow's 33 years of experience as a police officer with the RCMP, he says one case has stood out to him: the disappearance of Lily and Jack Sullivan, Nova Scotia siblings who went missing from their home in Pictou County back in May.
From the outside looking in, this case seemed really rare to the public. Is it a rare one for officers as well?
It's extremely rare. I've never seen it across my career. But while it's rare, what's the part that isn't rare is the complexity of the case, like why it's taking so long, because these investigations have to be done in a methodical approach. It started to generate a lot of national media attention and even international.
Did the RCMP find that difficult to manage?
Basically, anybody that was involved with that investigation felt that elevated level of concern.
The case captured worldwide attention, putting the small community of Lansdowne Station on the map and officers under the microscope.
Why do you think so many people from even other countries were so captivated by the details of their disappearance?
Anyone who has children, obviously, from a parental aspect, it deepens that level of concern internally. What happens if it was my child, for instance? Just that initial reaction from a parental perspective would escalate that concern, obviously.
Can you go over how many tips you've received thus far in the Jack and Lilly investigation, as well as how many formal interviews have been conducted by Rcmp?
There's been 1,030 tips received, and approximately 86 formal interviews have been completed within the investigation as well. That's sitting down, interviewing a person, not something that's a casual conversation while we bump into somebody along the street. It's a sit-down, structured interview, obtaining what the person knows firsthand. There's also been roughly over 8,100 functioning videos that have been actually reviewed by the team that's supervising the investigation. So there's been a lot of work conducted behind the scenes. It's been documented that 7 people have completed polygraph examinations. All 7 were found to be not lying.
The case is still considered a missing persons investigation despite the involvement of major crimes.
Would you say that this was the biggest case that Nova Scotia Rcmp had to cover this year?
Yeah, it's certainly one of the most prominent ones within the province in the past year. Touched a lot of people.
But the case of 2 missing children wasn't the only one that touched the hearts of Nova Scotia.
So I wanted to just play to you that going into that second interview, a few seconds of the clip, so you would know that you heard the entire case, or the entire interview rather, from the Rcmp here. And I don't want to belittle or belabor this, but it's just that the banner is very clear that they're looking back on 2025. And I understand that they're looking back on 2025, but I was really hoping for more encouragement, that we're not going to give up with Jack and Lilly. And it just feels to me, you know, like he's saying, that there was 7 people that had polygraphs, that they were all found to be not lying, I think was the exact words. And I'm sure they must have considered what I've just recently learned through Rod Reiner's case is that, or maybe another case, not Rob Reiner, somebody else. I'm sorry, not Nick Reiner, somebody else, but another case that I've covered recently, that a narcissistic brain can pass a polygraph because a narcissistic brain believes that everything they are saying is truthful, and they've convinced themselves of everything that they're saying, so that perhaps he believes himself so much that he's passed the polygraph. And I'm just curious if they know that. I'm just curious if they've basically are saying to us, what it feels like to me. We really have hit a dead end. We have investigated all possible angles and leads. The polygraphs were positive, and we are mystified. And while we think this is rare, we're not going to tell you why. Maybe because they think the parents are guilty, but they have no evidence to support that. I mean, I don't really know. I just am left not feeling hopeful, and I'm left feeling disappointed because I wanted that reassurance going into 2026 that this is an active case, that they are still desperately searching for these 2 missing children. And I would have preferred had the banner said the search continues or updates on the investigation. But just looking back is implying in 2025 that the story is done, or retroactively, let's look at 2025. But when you listen to the interview, it still feels like a case closure dialogue. And it implies that this chapter in 2025 is a history book, not a crisis happening anymore right now in 2026, that it may not be in the active pile. and I hope I'm not overreacting, but tell me what you think. Do you think it would have been nice to hear the RCMP reassure the public, knowing how desperately we all want them to find these kids and bring justice to Jack and Lilly? Do you agree? Would you like to hear a more positive RCMP interaction with the public? It's rare, but we are committed to solving it. And we have worked so hard on this. We continue to work hard on it, and we continue to work at wanting to find justice for Jack and Lilly and finding them and bringing them home. Not just it's rare, but what's not rare is how much work we put into this. I want to know what you're going to continue to do. I want to know if this is a soft close case, or was this just, hey, looking back on 2026? I want to know, RCMP, if you still need the public's help because you've hit dead ends. The past tense doesn't leave us, or at least myself, as I so shouldn't speak boldly for my viewers, but for myself, I really want to hear you saying in the present tense, we're doing everything we can. And we haven't given up on finding these kids and bringing them home. So let me know what you think. Would you like to hear that? Do we need to ask the RCMP for that? Or am I just overreacting? But I said this before this interview even came out. I said this before this interview even came out, that it just feels like this case is a dead end at this time. That their parents are going to get away with neglect at a very bare minimum. And I hope I'm wrong. What do you think? Love and light.